and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now the news in full. Fresh cracks have emerged within the ruling All Progressive Congress in the Federal Capital Territory as aggrieved candidates reject the outcome of the recently conducted FCT Congress, describing the process as flawed and unacceptable. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports. We apologize that reports will be brought in our subsequent bulletin. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it is committed to conducting transparent, credible, and inclusive primaries at all levels, in line with democratic best practices. The party's substantive national chairman, Abdurrahman Mohammed, made this known at the 108th NEC meeting held in Abuja. Zaral Nasser was there for Global Television News. We apologize that report will be brought in our subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has called on members of the People's Democratic Party to close rank and move beyond internal division. Wike made this strong call for reconciliation within the party. 108th of the National Executive Committee meeting. Ubong Usoro has the details. Now over to tensions rose in Abuja as retired officers of the Nigerian police force took their grievances to the doorstep of power, blocking access to the presidential villa in a desperate push for justice. They are calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to immediately sign the police exit bill into law, warning that years of neglect under the pension system have left many of them in hardship. Moving on now, the federal government has opened applications for the 2025-2026 in-country scholarship scheme for engineering and related disciplines in Nigerian universities. Now, the program administered by the Petroleum Technology Development Fund is scheduled to close on Friday, May 29, 2026. Let's go on a very quick break. News cycle continues shortly. Stay tuned. Fresh cracks have emerged within the ruling All Progressive Congress in the Federal Capital Territory as aggrieved candidates reject the outcome of the recently conducted FCT Congress, describing the process as flawed and unacceptable. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
The Executive Secretary of the Zamfara State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Hussaini Yakubu, revealed that 10 cases of polio had been recorded across 4 local government areas, attributing the development largely to prevailing insecurity, which continues to hinder access.
Over now to the People's Democratic Party, PDP says it is committed to conducting transparent, credible, and inclusive primaries at all levels, in line with the democratic best practices. The party's substantive national chairman, Abdul Rahman Mohammed, made this known at the 108th NEC meeting held in Abuja. Zara Nasser was there for Global Television News.
It was a gathering of PDP stakeholders and party members across the nation, gathered to discuss key issues concerning the party, which includes progress recorded within the last convention. Welcoming the participants, the substantive national chairman of the party, Abdurrahman Muhammad, said the PDP is determined to produce candidates that will suit the aspirations of the Nigerian people.
On this, we must also at this moment acknowledge with sincere gratitude the professionalism and vigilance of our national security agencies, whose timely intervention and continue to protect the property asset ensure stability at a crucial juncture. Their role in safeguarding democratic institutions remain vital, and we commend their adherence to a constitutional responsibility during the sensitive period.
The chairman emphasized that the meeting is pivotal as it is expected to produce key decisions and strategic directions that will define the party's next phase.
Have not only preserved the soul of our party, but have also repositioned us for a stronger and more powerful future.
The 108 NEC meeting was also attended by the national leader and the FCT Minister Wike, who restated his commitment in supporting the party, for which he is a member since 1999. Zahra Nasser, Global TV News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has called on members of the People's Democratic Party to close rank and move beyond internal division. Wike made the strong call for reconciliation within the party 108th of the National Executive Committee meeting. Ubong Usoro has details. We apologize. That report will be brought in our subsequent bulletin. Now, tension rose in Abuja as retired officers of the Nigerian police force took their grievances to the doorstep of power, blocking access to the presidential villa in a desperate push for justice. They are calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to immediately sign the police exit bill into law, warning that years of neglect on the pension scheme have left many of them in hardship. Kike Lomo Okere has details.
It was a scene charged with emotion and frustration as elderly, worn out but determined retired police officers gathered at the gate of the presidential villa in Abuja. Men who once stood on the front line of the national security now say they have been abandoned, left to struggle under a pension system they described as harsh and unforgiving. Under the umbrella of the Police Retired Officers Forum of Nigeria, the protesters demand an end to the contributory pension scheme, insisting it has failed to meet their basic needs after decades of service.
When we say villa, this is the highest position claimant in Nigeria. This is where, when they try a case, no appeal. So that is why we felt it necessary to come to this villa and beg the executive president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to fast-track signing of our pension.
Let me tell you, except the president fees the problem of police, internal security problem will continue to increase unabated.
For these retirees, the delay is more than administrative. Many says they can no longer afford food, healthcare or shelter, despite dedicating over 30 years of serving the nation. They argue that while other security agencies have been removed from the pension scheme, police officers have remained, deepening what they see as inequality and injustice within the system.
We wait for 30 days to see whether the president is going to assign our bill. He didn't assign. That is why we call here to tell him that we want him to use his good office, as we know him, to sign and exit us from contributing pension scheme.
We are not fighting for any other thing than our rights. You should give us our rights, because the suffering has come back to we women. Our men retire, nothing to show for it. Most of them, look at, immediately they retire 1 month, 2 months, they have become a thing of pity.
The protest is the latest in growing wave of agitation as retired personnel intensify pressure on the federal government to act, warning that continued silence could further erode morale within the force. For these former officers, the battle is no longer on the street, but for dignity, survival, and recognition after service. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global TV News.
The federal government has opened applications for the 2025-2026 In-Country Scholarship Scheme for engineering and related disciplines in Nigerian universities. Now, the program, administered by the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, is scheduled to close on Friday, May 29, 2026. The scheme targets undergraduate and postgraduate students in oil and gas-related fields as part of efforts to build local capacity and strengthen technical expertise within Nigeria. The federal government has earmarked 1.371 billion naira in the 2026 appropriation bill for the persecution of Boko Haram, terrorism, and related cases under the Federal Ministry of Justice, representing a sharp increase from the 530 million naira approved for similar cases in 2025. Now, the 2026 provision was drawn from the appropriation bill, as the Budget Office of the Federation had yet to release the detailed breakdown of the 2026 budget recently signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tinubu on Friday signed the 2026 appropriation bill into law, approving a total budget of 68.32 trillion naira for this fiscal year. And the budget includes 5.41 trillion naira for defense and security, reflecting the government's continued focus on tackling insecurity. Meanwhile, Boko Haram terrorist group has released a video daring the Nigerian government to attempt a forceful rescue of 416 abducted victims in Borno State. This is as it warned that if its demands are not met within 72 hours, the victims will be taken to different locations where they may never be seen again. The terrorists, dressed in military camouflage, stated that they are battle ready if the government chooses force instead of meeting their demands. Armed bandits have reportedly attacked Kamaji village in Kema local government area of Kwara State, killing scores of people. According to security sources who confirmed the development, the attack, which also claimed some soldiers' lives, occurred at about early morning hours. Reports said security agents comprising the Nigerian Army and local vigilantes engaged the bandits in an intense gun battle, as few soldiers were killed during the attack, though the full extent of the damage caused by the attack could not be ascertained as of the time of filing this report. Troops of Operation Hadi K has carried out a clearance operation targeting suspected insurgent enclaves in Kanga local government area of Borno State. The development was disclosed in a post by security analysts and counter-insurgency experts Zagazola Mekama via his ex-handle. Security sources said the operation was conducted by troops of the 21 Task Force Brigade in conjunction with the Joint Task Force CJTF. Meanwhile, troops of Operation Hadi K has arrested 5 suspected smugglers and recovered assorted items during an operation along the border communities of Borno and Yobe State. A counterinsurgency and security expert in Lake Chad region, Zagazola Mekama, made this known in a statement posted on X. Mekama disclosed that the suspects were intercepted by troops of 27 Task Force Brigade in conjunction of members of the civilian JT Force CJTF. Over now to the National Youth Service Corps has announced a change in the orientation schedule for prospective corps members deployed to Enugu and Osun states for the 2026 Batch A Stream 2 exercise. In a statement issued by the NYSC Director of Information and Public Relations, Caroline Embu, the scheme said the orientation course for the two states will now commence on Tuesday, April 28, 2026 and end on Monday, May 18, 2026. It urged affected prospective corps members to take note of the reverse date and comply accordingly. You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Glad you could join us. There's dust in the forecast. So going into Tuesday, dust lifted from our source region is expected to create a hazy, dry conditions across parts of the northeast, particularly Yobe, Borno, Adamawa and Gombe State. Elsewhere across the country, weather conditions will remain relatively stable. The southern areas will see mostly cloudy skies, while other regions can expect mostly sunny conditions with few patches of cloud. There is a chance of afternoon rainfall, especially along the coastal region where thunderstorms are likely. The storms may extend into inland areas, affecting much of the southwest and reaching parts of Anambra, Enugu, Imo, Abia, and also parts of Kogi State. And that's the latest weather update for Tuesday. Do join us again. I am Akemi Samarda.
You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is News Cycle on Global Television. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a $75 million investment in Flutterwave as a fintech company advances plan for its initial public offering IPO. The development was disclosed by the President's Special Advisor Dada Olusegun via social media post. The move comes shortly after Flutterwave secured approval to operate banking services in Nigeria, marking a significant expansion of its operations. Over now to the federal government has tasked the 7 regional development commissions with the need for economic diversification and self-sufficiency across the regions. This was contained in a communique released by the head of Information and Public Relations, Sani Dakti, after a 2-day retreat by the Ministry of Regional Development in collaboration with the Regional Development Commission in Benin City, Edo State. According to the communique, the federal government also used the retreat to set a decisive course for accelerated regional development. The Nigerian Naira has gone slightly weaker across foreign exchange markets, reflecting continued demand for the US dollar. At the official Nigerian foreign exchange market window, the currency traded at about 1,347 Naira to the dollar, a minor depreciation from last week's close despite stable liquidity conditions. And the powered market rate hovered around 1,395 to 1,405 Naira per dollar in major cities, with the gap between official and informal markets remaining relatively stable. On the foreign news now, the Beijing government has announced that all applications for short-term work permits and commuter permits will transition to fully digital system from May 1st, 2026. Marking a significant shift in how employers process foreign workers' documentations. Authorities say the move is aimed at improving efficiency, reducing administrative errors, and eliminating issues tied to lost or incomplete email submissions. Under the new directive, employers and their authorized representatives will be required to submit applications exclusively through the country's official online portal, replacing the long-standing email-based system. Bulgaria's former president Roman Radev says the country's future is at stake after casting his vote in the nation's 8th legislative election in 5 years. Radev's progressive Bulgarian grouping is tipped to win on a pledge to fight corruption after an anti-graft movement triggered a long political crisis in the European Union's poorest member. Zara Nasru brings us more details on our subsequent bulletin. Over now to Donald Trump has denied claims that Israel influenced United States decisions to go to war with Iran, insisting the action was driven by his long-standing stance against Iran acquiring nuclear weapons. The remarks came amid mounting criticisms, with opponents arguing the conflict was unnecessary and driven by foreign interests. U.S. intelligence officials have also stated there is no evidence Iran was actively building a nuclear weapon. The war has triggered economic fallout, with Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz pushing up global oil prices and driving fuel costs about $4 per gallon in the U.S. In sports decks now, the Nathaniel Ido Ajegunle Under-14 Football League ended in style at Oregia with a Super 4 finale that delivered excitement and festival atmosphere for grassroots football. Fulton FA powered into the final after a dominant win over the Pure Talent FA, with Adebayo Lateef scoring a first-half hat-trick and Odeshola Ogunayo adding 2 goals. In the second semi-final, Strong Dove FA edged a goalless contest 4-2 on penalties to book their place in the final. Still on sports, Stanley Boateng has been appointed assistant coach of Nigeria's senior women's national basketball team, the Tigers. Boateng would join the Tigers coaching crew led by Rena Wakama. The African champions are already in the United States of America for a training tour ahead of the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup. Super Eagles captain Wilfred Ndidi has returned to full training at Basketes. Ndidi sustained a hamstring injury in Basketes away defeat at the Fenerbahce at Month. Defensive midfielder was pictured in training with his teammates ahead of their match against Aleppo in the quarterfinal of the Turkish Cup on Thursday. And that's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen by using @Global TV NG. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching.